Yeah.
So like I was speaking of Joe and Rich, they mentioned today, and I wanted to run this by you because I hadn't heard this.
Yeah.
Had you heard that that WWE has a right of first refusal on any sale of TNA?
That's what Dave reported. I don't know how true it is, but I mean it's from Dave. So Dave with TNA stuff can be hit or miss sometimes.
He
But
can.
so but I talked to my buddy Axe, and he's the guy that writes for the MMA Draw. He was the first guy that had the WWE buying AAA news. Like he had it like a week early. And he even sent it to Sean Ross Sapp, but it just never got reported until like you see WrestleMania, there they are, right? Like he had it first. And he told me before that news came out that WWE was looking to buy AAA, and I was like, you're out of your mind. WWE's not trying to buy not AAA. I was like, you're out of your mind. WWE's not trying to buy TNA. That's what he was telling me. I was like, it makes no sense. They would just get themselves in trouble. They'd be opening themselves to an antitrust lawsuit and yada yada yada. All the reasons I still feel is ultimately the reason why they won't in the end. But yes, I think what it does is that clause in the contract prevents Tony Khan from buying it. I think maybe they're worried that Tony Khan would buy it, but Tony Khan has had the option to buy it a couple of times, and maybe they know that, and so they're like, we don't want Tony buying this thing and kind of ruining the deal that we got going on here. So that's the only thing I could think of, because if they did buy it, I think they ultimately fuck themselves.
Well, it's funny. WWE does, like, we think of them as being like this perfectly run machine, but they do make mistakes on occasion.
Yeah.
We heard there was a few weeks ago, we heard the strong rumor that Lorenzo Fertitta was buying TNA.
Yeah.
And that seems to have died down a little bit.
JD.
Yeah.
That rumor, when I heard that rumor, like here, like just fucking, that's like up my pants go, like right there. Like I was like, oh, I was like, JD, we need a fucking podcast again, right? Like we need, like the first moment I wanted to come back was when Hulk died, because I had a lot of thoughts about it, right? And I wanted to do this Hulk, like, yeah, he was this great, but he's also a piece of shit. Like I want to do this whole thing. But then when I find out that Lorenzo Fertitta might be buying it, and guess who the first person, I think I could tell you this on the air. I don't think this is a secret, but it had been going around. I talked, like, Bix told me before the story broke, like he had heard it too. And like, I was like, are you serious? And then I talked to Axe. Axe is in like MMA circles, right? And he goes, no, the Fertittas are actively exploring purchasing TNA. I was like, no shit. But go ahead, continue. Sorry, I just got so excited when you
this is, again, I'm like, I can't believe this is happening, and Mike and I no longer have a podcast. Like that was my thought too. I'm like, this is the shit that we were meant to cover, and we're like, now the fact, I'm always amazed, it entertains me greatly that whenever anybody talks about TNA news or something like that, your name always gets brought up. Like that, like that entertains me immensely.
I love it.
Like, because I love you, and I'm
Mike,
like, that's so great.
It's probably Mike knows more about this, or Mike's going to defend it even though it's indefensible. That's how it usually comes up.
That's almost always how it comes off, and it makes me laugh. The fact that you said it came from Bix was like, holy shit.
No, that's when I first heard it, but the story came from Sean Ross Sapp.
Sean Ross Sapp, you heard it from Bix. So that's what
me and him had a private conversation.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll mind me sharing that, because he didn't report the thing. It was a rumor that had been out for like a week.
But that's the thing. That's like, but it seems to have. But we also talk about how it'd be a shell company, right?
Yeah,
you're essentially selling it to your buddies so you could actually run it in private, and like it would be like a 3-card money thing. So, but it seems to have. Now again, this could be early, but usually when those rumors pop, lightning strikes pretty quick afterwards, and that's been like a month since that like rumor dropped. So I'm wondering if maybe that's no longer the case, or what? Because it seems like TNA is a very different thing than it was a year ago.
Yeah, I think if somebody were to buy it right now, because let's just face it, and I know Joe and Rich don't think this is happening. I'm pretty fucking confident that TNA is about to sign a TV deal. I've never been confident that they were going to sign a TV deal before. I'm like above 75% confident that they're going to get a TV deal.
Because it's Anthem seems to want to unload it, because it's no longer on the Fight Network in Canada. Like, it doesn't seem like they want it. It doesn't seem like they want it anymore, quite frankly.
Well, I think they've been wanting, like, Leonard Asper and Anthem in general, they're fucking clowns compared to the Fertittas, right? We gotta be completely honest about that. So if they did unload it and the Fertittas did take it over, it's a turnkey operation. They have the infrastructure in place. They have a TV deal on the horizon. Carlos Silva seems to be a pretty good president. Like as far as like making business moves and some of his ideas, has good leadership skills in the sense that, you know, he sets goals for people and benchmarks and things like that. And he's good with the media. He's very media savvy and very transparent and open, which is not usual for guys in wrestling, but he comes from the sports world. Like he was Professional Fighters League, but he also came from like the tennis world and different television networks. He came from AOL Sports. So he's got like just a different background, right? So I think they got him. He could, you know, do some good things, get them the sponsorships they're needing. The problem is I'm like, the Fertittas on station casinos, they got fuck you money. Why would they want to get involved with wrestling people, even though they're probably friends with Nick Khan? And Nick Khan, from what I was being told, wanted to buy TNA, wants it under their umbrella, and they want to beef it up to take away from AEW. They want to. I told everybody that a year ago. Whenever this partnership started, is like they want to take away from AEW. That was my first thought. But if they did buy it, they're fucking themselves and open themselves up to an antitrust lawsuit. God bless Brandon Thurston. He did a whole tweet storm that same night, practically begging AEW to sue them. He was like trying to lay out the case. Please, Tony Khan, sue them. Maybe he needs the content too. It'd be great for our show if he did. I don't think Tony Khan. I don't think.
Let us not forget who Brandon Thurston's best friend is.
Oh, Mookie Ghana, right?
Tennis, Mookie Ghana. Like, so of course, like everyone's cards are not on the table, but I don't think Brandon is speaking through Tony or through Mookie at this point. I think Brandon was laying out, look, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
because immediately, I'm not gonna say Brandon immediately put it out, but there hasn't seemed to have been as much. Now, granted, it could be announced tomorrow, and this whole thing could be useless.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, it seems like that talk has kind of gone down a little bit. Like, because let's be honest, their plan to squash AEW with the NXT events is only NXT attendance is actually significantly lower.
Dude, since it's only hurt NXT, right?
Again, it's like history repeating itself. Like every time they said we're going to squash it with NXT, and then NXT takes a gigantic hit. Like that showed that NXT ran in Lowell. Like they had nobody in the seat. Like it was like awful.
Here's how JD. Here's how bad they did in Lowell. Right, they did less than 2,000 people. For Bound for Glory is in Lowell in October. The tickets just went on sale. They already have 3,000 tickets sold.
That's what I'm saying. This is a show. Like, NXT is the only wrestling program that's consistently on network television today.
Yeah.
Like, and granted, it's Lowell, Massachusetts, which, by the way, is also where Sonny Liston lost to Muhammad Young Cassius Clay with the bolo punch.
Yep.
One of my favorite boxing stories in history. Anyways, Robert Silva. So anyways, like but now they're actually going to try to do this with. They're actually going to compete now with WWE main shows. Right. And like Joe, I'm going to quote our buddy Joe Lanza speculated that this is going to be that all TKO is done is now forced Tony to sell his pay-per-views earlier than expected. And I guess Zarian was saying that deal's going to come through. Like they're going to announce it pretty soon that AEW shows are going to be live on Max, which as a guy who's sick of spending money is pretty happy to hear.
Right. But are they still going to be pay-per-views?
Don't know.
Because I think Max has got a pay-per-view component to it now, doesn't it?
It does. I'll tell you this, if it's cheaper than $50, I'm back. Because I'll be honest, I haven't bought the last two AEW pay-per-views. We were off. The Patreon money has stopped flowing. So like I just haven't had disposable income to watch a lot of wrestling. And you know, I took a little bit of a break, but like I'll be honest with you, I miss being a WWE fan on the network days where the shows were just there. And I'll be real with you. People shit on George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, I believe his last name, with what their model is, but they were just too far ahead of the game.
Yeah.
What WWE was doing 10 years ago, the W Network, is now what things are. It's like everybody has caught up to that, but they were too early, right?
Yeah. I think that's the model going forward. And I think, look, WWE shows are going to be on ESPN1. Now, if you have cable, you can get the shows with your cable subscription, unless you're like me and you have YouTube TV and you don't get it. Or else it's going to be $30. I think that if you can get an AEW pay-per-view on Max, and I pay $5 for Max, I got a bundle with Netflix and Max, right? On my phone bill. And if I can get an AEW pay-per-view on Max for $5, I think you then now you're doing to WWE what you're trying to get TNA to do to AEW, which is undercut the market, right? And reduce the cost of what the number one would be doing. So here is like the way I see it, and the way that I've been looking at the whole thing. If the Fertittas buy it, TNA will then become a well-funded, strong number 3 that could compete with AEW at some level. I don't think overtake. I don't think like destroy AEW. I don't think put them out of business. Nothing like that. But like it becomes a well-funded number 3 that could compete with AEW. But here's the one angle that I don't think anybody's looking at. And I said this at the end of the year in 2024 on Brace for Impact. Whenever I knew that they were shopping around the television show, I said that what TNA can do is they can go in and they could pitch themselves like, hey, look, we got this contract with WWE, and WWE stars will be all over our shows. We got WWE backing, and WWE has done a good job of promoting TNA on their shows. They promoted Bound for Glory at SummerSlam this year, and they promote all the TNA shows on NXT, and there's crossover between the two, right? So it's like, hey, we have that. We're gonna go live 52 weeks a year. What it would cost for you to get AEW is, this price, right, per hour. We're going to come in at a significantly lower cost, right? So we're going to charge you at like a 10th of the price, but we could probably get you here. Collision gets you like what, 400,000 on a regular week. We could probably get 250 to 3 on your network, but at a fraction of the cost. And what that does is that if they're coming in undercutting the market on AEW's next TV deal, like Warner Brothers Discovery is going to look at that and be like, hey, but look at these TNA guys. They're getting paid this. And, maybe we think that you should be getting paid this too, or lower,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying.
And that's where I think they're trying to go with it.
That's what they're trying to go with, but that doesn't happen. As we keep, for the last 4 years, we have talked about bubbles bursting. WWE essentially got canceled off Saturday Night's Main Event. NBC basically said, you're doing terrible ratings. We're not interested in this. That's what happened. Like the Netflix, we've talked about, the Netflix has actually stifled the growth of Raw. Like significantly less people are watching Monday Night Raw now than they were a year ago, right? WWE is just going to make more money. But they managed to decrease shares on things and make more money. Same thing's going to happen with AEW. Like nobody because debt's not real. Debt is not a real thing when it comes to these wealthy companies. It's not real money.
So I think that's the thought, right? I just don't think it's going to work.
I agree with you.
Yeah. But if they bring in Fertitta, I think it's ultimately going to be a good thing for pro wrestling, because now TNA will be well funded, and that means the floor on some of the salaries is probably going to raise up. And what they can do is I think that it would, because here's why. The number one, the company that takes TNA's talent the most, the biggest predator to TNA has been AEW. And they can be able to compete with AEW now for those salaries when they weren't able to compete before. They lost a lot of guys because they just couldn't afford to keep them. And Tony Khan was signing them right off the roster, getting called up there. And now they'll be able to do that. And some of these guys, these main roster guys that get fired every year, which happens probably multiple times a year, TNA is not bringing a lot of those guys in because they can't afford to pay their indie rate. Now they'll probably be able to afford to pay their rate, right? Like they can get Dolph Ziggler, they're getting Matt Cardona, but they never did bring in any of the tippy top guys. They either went to AEW where they didn't fit in, or they just didn't wrestle, right? And so now they'll be able to bring in some of those guys. But I do think they'll be able to pay people more to not go to AEW. And like they'll be able to pay a guy like Ace Austin not to leave. Instead, they don't pay him, and then he goes to AEW, right? I think they'd be able to do that. That's what I'm talking about. I don't mean it could stagnate the pay overall for everybody, but I think for TNA, pay would go up.
So here's where I'm at, though. I think that in the short term, you might have a point, but in the long term, the idea of what Nick Khan and them are trying to do is they're trying to take out competition so they can pay the wrestlers less money, like UFC does. UFC notoriously pays their talent chicken shit, right?
Well,
that's what
compared to what they bring in, for sure.
Compared to what they bring in. That's why we've had multiple lawsuits upon that. Like you can't, like, why do you think guys want to go box? Because the boxers make significantly more compared to what they bring in, right? Yeah. Top level boxers as compared to top level UFC talent, right? What they're trying now with MMA, they've never had someone like a Tony Khan who can afford to pay people, right?
Yeah.
Like Bellator was what it was for a brief stint, right? So what they're trying to do is it's not worked. They've tried to squash AEW out specifically so they could stop paying people as much, right? And now you have TNA in. So if TNA does its job, which is to stifle AEW, is not to. It might raise the floor for a minute, maybe for some TNA guys.
It's going to raise the floor for TNA, right?
For TNA, sure, but then they become, but like then the overall health of the business is going to go down. This is why you're fucking retarded. I'm sorry, I used the R word. I should have done it. You're fucking. Can you tell them how to practice? Can you tell them how to practice?
It's, dude, you're gonna get heat for that.
I'll get heat. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it. I said something stupid.
Yeah.
You're fucking stupid if you want AEW out of business because it's bad for professional wrestling. It's bad for the talent. Like guys are making more money now. The guys in the like the fact that Drew McIntyre can go and say, well, Tony will pay me this. You got to pay me that. Like that's good for wrestling. And in theory, it'd be good for AEW, for all wrestling if TNA could pay more. I just don't trust Nick Khan as far as I can throw him. And I don't see how having a shell corporation trying to undercut your competition specifically so you could pay your talent less money is good for wrestling. I don't think it's going to work, but that's the goal.
Right. I think it's going to create another place for people to be able to work and make money, more money. Great. Like, because right now TNA, what they do is they're only working a couple of dates a month. So a lot of the talent has to go and work indie dates to supplement the income. And that's why you see like Ziggler or Nick Nemeth, he misses a lot of TNA's dates because he has like his indie dates booked well in advance. Because all TNA does, I don't know how much they're paying the guy, but I assume they're paying him somewhere close to his indie rate, and they just compound that over the year. He's not on like a signed deal. I think what this does, if they do get on a TV network, if they do become more well funded, if they have 52 live shows a year, which that seems to be the plan, is to go live every week and then do 12 live pay-per-views. I think that those talent are going to make more money, and then there's going to be more roster spots on TNA because of that. So I do think there is some benefit to it. But I think the benefit is all like under that TNA banner, right? I think like TNA just becomes stronger. Now, what they won't do is compete with WWE for talent. If WWE wants somebody, they're just gonna be like, all right, like, hands off, right? So they're not gonna like nobody's gonna be like leaving WWE as like, hold on, Lorenzo said that I would make this much, and like that's not gonna happen.
And that's where I'm kind of like, where if because the ultimate goal of Nick Khan is to squash AEW. Right, is to take out real competition and say, oh, we have the competition over here. And then TNA, they essentially want TNA to exist as it always did. Right? Just another place where we can put guys when we're done with them. Or we can find people coming up. Like that's what they want. They want a number two that they can do what they want. Like, is anyone from TNA? Be the WWE guy. This is a legit question I have to you because like I listen to Joe and Rich and they make it sound like it never happens. So I'm asking you, has an actual TNA wrestler gone over anyone on NXT?
So right now I don't know the exact record, but I'm pretty sure I'll get a DM tomorrow. But like TNA would be ahead when they're wrestling, but it's all like NXT like people, right? They have not beat any main roster stars.
Well, I know the deal is NXT and TNA.
Yeah. So they have not. And in fact, what's her name? Jersey Jan, she was the NXT and TNA champion. She just lost the title to Ashley Elegance she lost it in a three-way where she didn't get pinned. So you do have that. But I do think, I know no one believes me when I say this, but I get the feeling that Mike Santana is eventually going to pin Trick Williams, and it'll be clean, and he'll get the title back. And the Trick Williams will go on a little sabbatical and head to the main roster. But Trick has been actually like pretty good for TNA. He's actually done a pretty good job. So he's not a great worker or anything like that, but the crowd fucking loves the guy. He's supposed to be a heel, and but they can't stop chanting his song because the song's so popular, the Whoop That Trick song. So but yeah, no, they have, but
how many TNA fans now are like the people that used to listen to our show and stuff like that? How many of them are like the old school guys who come from the Dixie era, and how many are just like people who are NXT? Well, I should say NXT fans, but like let's be honest, NXT fans are just like old white guys now.
I think there's a lot. I think some of those people probably came back because I think once TNA completed the floor, they bottomed out. They completely lost the floor. I think a lot of those people just went and watched other wrestling because TNA had become pretty much unwatchable for a little while.
Oh,
And but now that I think they went to WWE and just like started watching NXT because NXT was bringing in Samoa Joe and Eric Young and Bobby Roode, and they had James Storm for a little bit. So they were bringing over all the TNA guys.
that's a decade
ago.
Mike.
Went there.
That's like a decade ago we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's 2014 is whenever they lost Spike, and that's when people just started, abandoning ship. There's a few of the hardcores left, but I think when TNA did legit, I'm going to give them 7,000 for Slammiversary. I don't think they did 7,600, but I'm going to give them a legit 7,000. Great crowd. Yeah. I think probably 75% of that crowd was like WWE fans. Like, oh, TNA's in town. Let's just go check out the show. Right. Let's go. Hardy Boys are there. Oh, fuck. Well, let's go. Joe Hendry's there. Let's go. Trick Williams. Yeah, we'll go check it out. And then I think like the other 25% was just like your hardcore TNA fans, and then just Puerto Ricans that really wanted to see Mike Santana. Then of course they shit the bed. They shit the bed. Here's one thing that I want to just. There was a narrative out there whenever Trick Williams, in the worst goddamn main event I've ever seen in my life, between Trick and Mike Santana and Joe Hendry, the main event of Slammiversary.
Was it that bad?
It was so bad. Like. It was so bad in the sense like they purposely wanted it to be bad because they thought they were getting heat on Trick. So they have the 3-way match, and it's like Trick gets out of the match early. He does some stuff like the first maybe 5-7 minutes. He gets out of the match early and has like a knee injury, right? And then from there, it's just Mike Santana and Joe Hendry wrestling, but Mike Santana is going at such a pace and Joe Hendry can't keep up.
Oh, well, Mike Santana is good. Like, yeah.
He and Hendry is pretty much exposed, and in the match, he's like 3 of 3, right? As far as like talented wrestlers go, he's like number 3, right? And so they're trying to work a good match, but Santana is just not letting Hendry breathe. And it's like, I don't know if it was on purpose, like he just wanted to prove that he was better than Joe. Like, and it's like, Mike, I could have told you before that match you were better than Joe. Like Joe's over, and he got him, and God bless him, got himself over because of his song and his smile and his charisma. It wasn't because of what he did in the ring, right? So they're working the match. Mike Santana hits the finish at like 12 minutes. And then Trick comes in, pushes him out of the way, and just gets the pin on Hendry. And then they just immediately go off the air.
Are you fucking with me?
And it's the biggest show they've ever done. And that's how they ended it. And here's what I want to address. A lot of people are putting the blame on WWE for that. And they're saying, oh, WWE must not have wanted Trick to lose. And they really buried Mike Santana, which they did not do, but they should have put him over. I agree. That is a very TNA thing to do. And so when you blame WWE for how shitty that show ended, you're absolving TNA. And I don't think it's right to absolve TNA when they screw up. That was a TNA decision. They did the same thing to Hendry last year. And that's what me and Gail Kim were talking about today. They did the same thing to Hendry last year. They should have put Hendry over last year at Slammiversary. They chose not to do it. They put over Nemeth instead. And then they should have put him over Bound for Glory a couple months later. They chose not to do it. They put over Nemeth instead. And then they finally gave it to him at January. And the moment was big. The show was big. They had a big crowd. It worked. Hold on. Yes.
I see it too.
Total nonstop cucking. Yeah.
Cooking.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And so, I don't want to absolve TNA from the booking because that's a very like TNA pattern to do that, is to not give you the moment when you want it. You have to wait for it and you have to chase for it. They did the same thing to Josh Alexander. He won the world title over Christian and then immediately lost the belt to Moose, who cashed in on him as soon as the match was over. We got a guest?
We got a guest. What's up?
Good.
Hey, you want to come say hi? Hey, you got to get in the camera, dork.
Yeah, Big Andy. What's up, dude? The biggest celebrity of the show.
All right, buddy. You actually got the other celebrity with him. Do I got Astro with me? Yeah,
Astro, what's up, dude?
Astro's just chilling on the floor now.
Okay, but yeah, so that's how that whole thing went down. But I'm pretty sure eventually Mike Santana is going to win that title, and he's probably going to pin Trick.
I don't understand. Like it is a very, and it's so weird that like no matter who's booking TNA for decades, right? TNA is always like off target on when they do things. Like it's always never the right moment for anything, right? Yeah. It's just crazy to me.
Brad says Santana has to wait until he signs with NXT to get that TNA title. You know what? I don't think he's going to NXT. I know people think that he's going. I know WWE's impressed with him. I think Mike Santana really wants to be a top guy. and TNA gets a TV deal, I think that he is like number one with a bullet, and nobody's close to him. I think it's better for Santana to be the top guy in TNA for like another year or two and then go. I think that's the move because he's just now getting popular.
So if Mike Santana goes to NXT, he's going to be Ethan Page. And Ethan Page has carved him. I'm not picking on Ethan Page. Ethan Page has carved himself a great role. He is essentially what Samoa, not necessarily Samoa Joe, but like James Storm and Bobby Roode and all those guys were a decade ago. The guy who's going to work with the young guys and get them better. And I don't foresee Mike Santana thinking of himself that way, right? Like he left AEW because he didn't think Tony gave him a shot. And I'll be honest, with all of the Tony fumble stuff we hear, the only guy I think Tony really fumbled with was Mike Santana, because that guy could have been more than he was. Like Ricky Starks got pushed in AEW. Like, you know, all go over there, did what they did. Like Sean, if you're gonna tell me they didn't push Sean Spears enough, I'm gonna tell you you're crazy. Sean Spears is Sean Spears.
They pushed Sean Spears too much. They pushed Ricky Starks. They pushed Mariah May. They pushed all those stars. Mike Santana never got a shot because they just saw him as a tag team guy. And then when Mike left, the AEW fans, the beautiful fans, said, "Oh, hold that tag rope, Mike," and they were like demeaning him for having confidence in himself, and those people probably don't have any confidence in themselves, which is why you would say that to a guy who was taking a shot, and he took a shot at it, and I think he's upped his stock significantly. And I think TNA is. You said TNA needs to be what it's always been. One of the things it's always been is where a guy who's not really getting a shot at stardom, at being a main event guy, can go be a main event guy for a while, and then finally the people with the big bucks will see them as a main event guy. Fucking Drew McIntyre, right? Like we always talk about. There's so many guys that have been like that have come through. Like look at Trinity, Naomi. Yeah, she was never really seen as anybody that could like be on big shows for WWE, and now look at her. I mean, she just gave up the title for having a baby, but like that, like she's been one of their more pushed acts since she's been back in the company.
100%. She was Sasha's friend, right?
Yeah.
She was Jay or Jimmy's wife. I forget who she's married to, but like she was never pushed as her own entity, like high. Like her comeback has been really good for WWE. Yeah. Like those two walking out of WWE worked great for both of them. Like,
yeah, it did.
They both gambled on themselves and they both won massively. Like,
yeah.
I agree with you. Like we've seen a lot of people do the TNA rehabilitation project over the years, and it's worked out pretty damn. Christian Cage is another example from the first person to try to make that work, right? Like I don't understand. And I'm an AEW fan. I don't understand the tribalism of the people who like get on people for leaving who don't feel like they're getting their justs. Like, and I think that's good for pro wrestling when you feel like they're not being pushed enough, right? Every guy should feel like, man, I deserve more. I'm going to go. Like, that's what makes wrestling cool. Like, that's what made the territory era so great. Like, if it's not working out for you in New York, man, go to Memphis. Man, hit up Alabama. Like, wrestling was better. There are more options. That's now is probably the most evil person in wrestling, because we don't want nation under TKO. Like, I want lots of options. I want CMLL to still be CMLL. Like, in fact, the AAA is becoming viable again. Great, good for them, phenomenal. Like, we need alternatives. We need more places for people to work, not less. And I'm happy because of guys like Mike Santana, right? Mm-hmm. When one company writes you off, you don't want the other company to be in league with them, so you don't get a chance there either, right? We need this. We need competition.
Well, I think WWE obviously has I don't want to say they have power over TNA, but they do have a lot of influence. And WWE just released a lady named Jakara Jackson, and TNA, she was for NXT, she was a tag champion, and she got released earlier this year. Again, like kind of a no name, right? She just comes into TNA and she's now called Amara Sade, like the singer Sade. And it looks like they might actually have somebody with her. So I think TNA being strong, you're going to get more people like that. And the only people that WWE will fire that won't get a shot in TNA are the people on like the bad boy list, right? Like if WWE fires them because of like heat reasons or they got in trouble, TNA probably won't take him, but I think anybody else they fire, I think WWE would like go to. I think they would probably rather they go to TNA than AEW, to be honest with you. So I think that's that would be a positive. But
So look at this. Like, why hasn't TNA signed Matt Riddle? Right.
They actually
the
they brought him in. No, they brought him in for one show last year, and they got so much fucking heat from the internet. Matt Riddle was thought to be untouchable, and he also was actively working for MLW at the time. But they did bring him in for one show. But yeah, no, I think that's a good example, right? Like they shouldn't bring in Matt Riddle because he's a bit of a scumbag, right?
Well,
but yeah, so I think like those people that are in trouble with WWE probably won't get shots. But the people that are in good standing would all get a shot with TNA. Again, if TNA has money and is well funded. Right now, they only seem to be bringing in a lot of the NXT talents, like a lot of them, because NXT they weren't making a ton of money, so TNA can afford NXT money.
And I don't think I see WWE's perspective of wanting to have TNA there because you want a place where you can look at Drew McIntyre, for example. Like and this wasn't the plan. Drew got released because he had not lived up. Let us not forget he was in one. Then wound up in 3-man band and got fired and then remade himself. Right. So and they were happy to have that happen because like sometimes you got to let a guy go to let him find himself. Even Cody Rhodes did that. Right. Like you need to grow outside the system sometimes. So I see them as like, okay, we're going to put this guy, kind of push him toward TNA where maybe they can grow. Right.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do that to AEW because if he does grow, then they look like they screwed up. And then you got Swerve Strickland all over again.
Right. And then now all of a sudden you're a competitor. The term that I use is like, they want to build TNA as like a strong, I don't think they think that TNA can become a number 2. I don't think any reasonable person thinks that. And
because they're going to try to out of business.
Yeah, I just don't think. I think it's been long enough. I don't think they got the juice to put AEW out of business, and I don't think TNA
they're running pay-per-views now. They're trying to take them out of business.
I think they're trying to hurt their business, but I don't think I just don't think they can put them out of business. But I think they're just trying to fuck with them at every point. But nothing that they've done has been able to work. And so,
no, I agree with that.
If their goal is to put AEW out of business, all they've done is make them stronger, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's incredibly stupid what they're doing. Now, WrestlePalooza with John Cena and Brock Lesnar going head to head with All Out. I'm curious about how that goes. Dave and Brian had an argument the other day, and I was on Brian's side for once. And what
was the argument?
The argument was Dave thinks that All Out's going to tank because of it. Like they're going to get under 100,000 viewers or 100,000 pay-per-view buys. Mike's opinion is there's probably 120,000 AEW fans that don't give a fuck about John Cena and Brock Lesnar, and they're going to buy the AEW pay-per-view anyway. I think wrestling fans ultimately have gone to their corners. Now, what WrestlePalooza does, what it does is it takes AEW off the headlines, right? All the wrestling media and all the mainstream media is going to be more focused on what's going on in WWE, and none of the media attention, instead of getting Sean Ross Sapp at your show for press, you might get like Jeremy Lambert or somebody, right? Like Sapp's fighter is probably going to be, WWE. That's just an example, right? So I think that's what it does. But I don't think that this pay-per-view is going to tank at all. In fact, I think the people that always buy AEW are still just going to buy AEW because I don't think those people are WWE fans.
No, I agree with that. I think that's the effort in it. And I don't think, because let's be real, Tony Khan is not great at drumming up mainstream media attention. Like where AEW truly lacks from WWE is that PR arm. They don't have a Chris Legental. Like they don't have those type of people working in AEW that can milk the media. Right. And a lot of that too, just having been around for 50 years at this point, or 40 years, whatever it is. I do think you wonder, like Ape Lanza a bit here. I do wonder at what point their media partners are like, hey man, you're actually like, we would have more people watching this stuff if you guys would stop your stupid little wars.
Right.
Like, but I don't know. Like, one would think that because eventually it took the cable companies in the 80s to tell Crockett and McMahon to knock it the fuck off.
Yeah.
Right. You're hurting everybody here. I don't know. We're in a weird place, right? Like, I really feel like in the pre and post pandemic eras were a lot like the early 80s, like where we had stuff that was like spreading out again, where wrestling was growing in all over the place, not just in WWE. And now it almost seems like we've reached the late 80s again. Right?
Yeah.
Like where AEW very much feels like, Crockett WCW, and like WWF is kind of what it is. And then like there's this hard 1 and 2, and everybody else is kind of getting absorbed at this point. And now they're really messing with each other media wise. Like it really feels like we're at that spot. And I don't know. I don't want it to follow the same path, because like what led to that is total destruction and monopoly. I don't want to see that again. That was really bad. That was a really bad era in pro wrestling, like 2004 to like 2014 sucked, right?
2004 to the moment that AEW came about, right? There was only
no. I mean, like even when they started NXT, right? And that's what I think they really want with, and what I really think they want with TNA is I think they want TNA to be 2015 NXT, right?
Yeah.
You've got a bunch of really good people, but they aren't like they're kind of doing their own thing, and they're not a threat to you, right? I think that's the ultimate goal. Is a threat. When AEW came around, it became a threat. I mean, you could say they're not threatened by him, but if they weren't threatened by him, they wouldn't be doing what they do.
Right. And I think AEW is slightly threatened by him, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be signing up like a lot of the TNA talent. Like, they're coming for that roster. The good ones, the good ones, right? Like they're not coming for Brian Myers. Like he's safe, right? Like, but like Leon Slater, WWE better hope to God that they're able to get that guy under paper, because if not, he's AEW bound. Like the guy's incredible, right?
He's really good. He is really good. They just signed Ace Austin and his gigantic quads. I don't remember. I haven't watched TNA in a long time. Ace Austin is freaking huge for a short man.
Quadzilla. Look, I love Ace Austin. I don't really see him ever kind of being a guy there. Like I do, but I love the guy. But people were like making fun of him for saying this. Oh, he's never going to get on TV. I was like, well, guess what he can do now? He can buy a fucking house, right? Like that's what he can do. I don't care if he ever gets a push. Tony Khan's not really into pushing the TNA guys too much, but I think he can probably afford to buy a house.
Mike, I have been the most anti-speedball Mike Bailey guy ever. That guy have a push than I ever would have expected. Like he's in a tag team now with Kevin Knight, but he's on TV every week. The man had a pay-per-view match with Okada. Like Speedball.
But what did I say that they were going to do with Speedball? Because I would hear for years about how TNA is mistreating Speedball, and I was like, Speedball's on every episode. He's on every pay-per-view, and all he does is have good matches, and he mostly loses those matches. But he wins the X Division title, and then he has the match of the night. That's exactly what he's doing with AEW. He's just doing it with in high definition.
Good call. I agree with you. I think Speedball is actually, and I don't love the man. I actually do like the tag team though. I think him and Kevin Knight are actually complement each other pretty well. I think that tag team actually was pretty good.
Jet Speed, not a good name. I was thinking Jet Balls would be better. Like Jet Balls would be good, but Jet Speed, I'm not into.
No, but then compared to Josh Alexander, Josh has kind of struggled, even though he's in the top heel unit. Like he just hasn't really found his.
He's just a guy that can have good matches, and I'm just like but you know what? Look, I'm not mad at Josh for going. I think that he should have went. I think he done all that he could do, and WWE is never going to bring him in, especially with his bad neck. So I think it's a good thing that he can go over there. And look, again, he's another guy. Guess what he gets to do now? He's got kids, right? He might be able to put them into private school now, right? He might be able to pay his mortgage off, and he's going to go in there, and he's always going to be a reliable guy that has good matches. And somebody said in the chat that Josh Alexander might be getting a Kenny Omega match at All Out. I don't know that they do Omega Alexander. That probably sounds like a TV match to me. I don't know.
It sounds like now you do that's something you do in Toronto, right? When you get TV, I don't foresee them. Maybe I'm wrong, because Kenny gets kind of what he wants sometimes. Maybe Kenny wants to have a match with Josh on pay-per-view, because he'll do things like that, but I don't foresee that. There's other guys in that Don Callis family that I would rather see Kenny work with, but I guess it's possible. Like, and Josh, I don't know. I guess what hurts Josh is like, he's just kind of Josh Alexander, right? And that's kind of what got him over in that era of TNA. He was, Bret Hartish, hard nosed, did the work.
Yeah, Josh fucking rules, by the way. Like
I do love Josh. I've always
we
loved
love him.
Josh
But
Alexander. But he's not the most charismatic guy in the world.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
I did think that when he turned heel in TNA, I was like, oh man, they got something with him. But at that point, they were kind of shedding all the D'Amore guys, and I think they knew that he had an AEW offer and they weren't going to be able to match it, so they just beat him like a drum for 6 months. But hey guys, we have gone like way over. Yeah, thankfully I got the day off tomorrow, so I don't have to go into work. So that's good news. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks for everybody for watching and listening. Please hit the like, comment, and subscribe. And these shows are going to be going directly to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. They'll be ad free. And they'll also be available on the Voices of Wrestling Network. So please check us out on the Voices of Wrestling Network.
Knock it off. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll be back on Thursday night or Friday morning with a Brace for Impact, and that'll be exclusive to the Patreon. It'll be clipped. And then next week, if you guys want to join us live, become a Patreon subscriber. Go to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. We took off 4 months and we gutted our Patreon, so we need to build that thing back up. So please, that's how we're going to be able to eventually afford a StreamYard. You guys, don't go away. I got something for everybody. I want to leave everybody with this. And I said this in a group chat that I was in, and I'm fucking serious. If WWE buys TNA, or if TNA becomes a WWE production, meaning like you got Bruce Pritchard in town and it's a complete WWE production, I'm fucking done. That no bones about it. Mike out. I didn't like WWE ECW. I don't like AEW Ring of Honor, although the occasional match is pretty good. I don't like stuff like that. I want TNA just to be TNA, shitty booking and all, and I want it to look like TNA. I want it to sound like TNA. I want it to just be TNA. And you're like, Mike, they got a bunch of WWE guys in TNA. That's what TNA's always been, right? Just like I just want it to be TNA. So if WWE buys it, Brace for Impact is dead. Stay tuned for fucking Brace for MLW or Brace for the NWA or something else, right? But it's not gonna be Brace for Impact anymore. Like that show is dying. I wanted
Brace for Noah.
To get that out. What's that?
Brace for no. Never mind. It's not even a good.
Oh shit! Thanks, guys. No Jericho talk. Transfer Heat did request Jericho talk. Jericho's going back to the Fed, right? Like he's Fed bound. He has to be.
Break this year.
I think we lost JD. I think JD's like podunk, like country bumpkin internet just went out on us again. Are you back?
Can you hear me, Mike? What the fuck? I thought we made it through. No, you're going to hear Break the Wall down at the Royal Rumble this year.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's best for everybody involved. I think he needed to go. He had grown stale in AEW. I think he needs to go back to WWE. He'll be hailed as a hero there. I don't buy into like people will then look down